The Jaguars are expected to trade Brian Thomas Jr., something we've been talking about all offseason, that he doesn't fit anymore into the system. Never did. Only did well with Mac Jones. Didn't do well with T-Law the year that BTJ was the number 4 wide receiver as a rookie. Didn't do well the next year, which was last year in 2025, with Trevor Lawrence as QB. This guy has only produced with Mac Jones. He hasn't done well since then, and he doesn't fit in a room that they went and acquired more talent for. Jacoby Myers. P. Wash goes to the moon if this ends up playing out the way that we hope it plays out. Now, is he guaranteed to be traded? Not guaranteed, but it sounds very much like the wheels are in motion and they need to make a move because they need to use the excess talent that they have in the wide receiver room, excess being BTJ, to fill other needs. So many player values will be affected by this. The quarterback that gets BTJ, maybe Drake May, probably my favorite right now. Josh Allen would have been, but Josh Allen got his boy DJ Moore. Josh Allen on the rise. DJ Moore on the rise. Hopefully Drake May will be on the rise, as well as BTJ being on the rise if he goes to a wide receiver room where he can be the sole provider of said wide receiver room with an elite quarterback gunslinger like Drake May. The Fantasy Football Show Breaking News Edition. Couldn't be happier to hear this news edition. It breaks right now. It starts right now. File on in.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios.
It's the Fantasy Football Show.
Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
If I had to guess the landing spot that will be BTJ's new home, I'd have to say New England. It seems like the most likely candidate to overpay, has the space to do it, has the desire and need, made it the furthest without having that wide receiver, so there's a reason and rationale to overpay to make sure you get this done. There are other teams that could use them, but are they going to be in the same frame of mind as the New England Patriots, saying, we almost did it, we fell short because of this. We felt short because Drake May couldn't continue to shoulder everything on his own. So therefore, what is the one move that we need to make out of almost near desperation to compete with the other teams that have said players at this stature? Where's my BTJ graphic when I need it? Where are you, BT? I have it here somewhere. When we talk about the man, we got to put him on screen. Here it is. BTJ, is there a chance that New England is going to overpay? I do think so. They're the only team that makes logical sense. We've called a lot of this the entire offseason, and he feels like he's getting traded. AJB is going to get traded, most likely. BTJ is going to get traded, most likely. Both things might happen within the next 2 or 3 days. At least one of these trades will happen within 48 hours. Mark my words, pretty much. I can't guarantee anything, but my gut, my vibe check says within 48 hours, BTJ or AJ Brown will be traded. So that's how I feel. But there are only a few teams that have the boxes checked to make this move and make it aggressively. Did you go far last year but fell short because you didn't have a wide receiver? New England, check. Does your wide receiver room, even if you did go forward and fall short, have really anybody of note? No. New England cut Stephon Diggs. Check. Do you have the space to make this work? Check. New England. There are very few teams that have this ability to check these boxes. There will be interested parties. If Philly was to depart with A.J. Brown, or even if they didn't, they preemptively made this move, they could go after BTJ, but I don't know that they're doing that. Could a team like Green Bay go after BTJ? Absolutely, because they botched at drafting their own wide receiver in the first round, taking Matthew Golden, who we said, what in the hell are you doing? Atlanta, I mean, they got rid of Mooney, so there's some thinking there. AJB they tried to acquire him in LAR. The Rams tried to acquire AJB, but gave up because the asking price was too high. They might come a knocking. There are tons of teams that might consider this. The Raiders could use a wide receiver one. The Titans could use a wide receiver one. BTJ's getting traded, so he doesn't necessarily get to decide where he goes. So the highest bidder is going to get him. He's not in a position to say, well, I want a new deal. He's not going to get a new deal. He's still on his rookie deal. So he has very little leverage at all. He can't even say, I don't want to go there. And plus, he wants to get out because he's in a crowded wide receiver room where he feels completely stepped over. And for good reason, he hasn't delivered. KC, if Rice's situation was really dire, they would be in the market right now. But because that situation is unknown, I don't think they are currently in the market. Ravens are a potential suitor. The Broncos could look into it. The Steelers are always talking about getting another wide receiver. This is probably the most likely spot is the New England Patriots because now the Buffalo Bills are off the board. I truly believe this is going to be a huge mother freaking moon for the fantasy football world. Enormous move. Enormous move for enormous players, for enormous fantasy football production. The quarterback that gets BTJ goes on the rise. Probably Drake May. We hope Drake May. BTJ's on the rise because he goes somewhere where somebody needs him. He's rejuvenated. He's remotivated. He's not motivated in Jacksonville. There's so much. And then the team that the Jaguars are going to get something. Then Parker Washington, who's a moon man extraordinaire.
The moon man. Dropping loads.
Can I get a green wash emoji for those of you with Droid phones? Drop your yellow scrub brush or your...
Space Monsters.
Go ahead and drop your rough-looking... I don't know, looks like a block of, I don't know, sandpaper or something. Drop your droid emoji. It's ridiculous. It's embarrassing. Sorry. But... Everybody drop the green wash emoji for P-Wash. For M-Wash and P-Wash, let's see who's got a droid. Let's see who's got an iPhone. And I know some of the droid users are going to say, we got better technology on the droid platform, boy. What are you talking about? But hey, I just call it like I see it. Drop the P-Wash emoji and the M-Wash emoji. It's the same emoji. It's Wash and Wash and Associates. But Parker Washington,
The moon man.
the wide receiver one,
In outer space.
February 2nd hit the Moon Man list. The wide receiver one in Jacksonville. You know who also goes up in value? Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter, who's definitely going to play more DB than he did last year, but this might change the landscape for him and his expected production on the offense. And anybody that thinks he's being phased out, no, it's that they want to get him versed on defense. They're going to give him a lot more defensive play. He's still going to be a part of the offense, and they'll probably phase more offense in and more defense in altogether as he starts getting more comfortable on both sides of the ball. But if you think Travis Hunter isn't a steal in fantasy football drafts right now, and underdog promo code Smitty, you can draft right now. They'll match your first deposit 50% all the way up to $1,000. Use the code in the description of the video on Rumble or on YouTube, and use code Smitty as well. If you don't think that the value goes up tremendously for Travis Hunter, if you don't think that the value goes up tremendously for P. Wash, who is the number one wide receiver in Jacksonville regardless, if you don't think the value goes up for BTJ and everybody involved, it gets an improvement by this move. This move is a fantastic feeding families move. You know, there's some moves that hurts one player, helps another. This is a move that helps everyone involved. BTJ getting on an airplane, heading somewhere else is 100,000% Smitty approved.
Let him cook.
You've just been Smitty approved.
Keep dropping those P-Wash emojis. The green one. If you got the yellow one, it's okay. We still love you. We still accept you. All right, let's get to the rest of this news. Open the phone lines immediately because I know some of you are going to want to talk about this conversation and talk about what potential QB is going to be handed BTJ, whether you even believe in BTJ to bounce back or not. There's a lot to discuss with this situation, ton to discuss. And before we move on from the BTJ conversation, this is from an NFL insider, Marvin Parcells, saying that the Jaguars are expected to move on from the wide receiver Brian Thomas Jr. per sources. The Browns, Patriots, Steelers, Ravens, Panthers are all expected to show interest. The only devastating spot would be like the Panthers, you know, because Bryce Young can't support this. He can barely support Tedrow McMillan and Jalen Coker. And I don't want anything impeding on Jalen Coker's breakout season because Coker might hit the Moon Man list. And there's a real chance Coker plays right at the same level as Tedrow McMillan. Chew on that. And you don't like that? Tough. That news is out of the way. Let's go to the rest of the news. ladies and gentlemen. This one here, Dalton Schultz getting an extension by the Houston Texans. 1 year, $12.6 million, sources say, with $17 million now guaranteed, combining 2026 and 2027. Interesting. He's definitely a decent, option in fantasy, but he's not something that, it's not moving. It's not moving the needle for like moving him up or down because he got an extension. Patriots center Garrett Bradbury was traded to the Chicago Bears. This is an interesting move. The Bears lost their center, and free agency hasn't been kind to them so far because they dumped their center. They dumped DJ Moore. They've been losing bodies left and right, but they've been gearing up. They've been acquiring picks. And now they're sending basically, what they got in DJ Moore essentially in value, essentially for a center to replace their current center, their previous center. And there's a lot of mixed bags. I'm going to be curious to know what Travis thinks of this one. Garrett was pretty bad prior to landing on the Patriots roster. Like he had a pretty bad career so far. Didn't do too bad last year. And so, I wonder what you guys think of this, especially Patriots fans. But this isn't anything crazy. You do wonder what's in store for the Patriots after this. But that's an interesting move, to say the least, in a position that the Bears lost and needed to fill. Vikings have now been moved up to a 60% chance and likelihood to sign former Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray, according to the Pauly market. So the betting odds are in favor of Kyler right now. And I've said this before, and we could beat a dead horse on it. You've heard me talk about it already. It's 100%. Sorry, I got to pull this comment up. So no bias here, but BT7 Duvall says BT's not getting traded. He's not getting traded. Bro, I just told you he is. So you could say it till you're blue in the face. Doesn't make it true. You're going to have to change your name. I just told you he's getting traded. So Kyler Murray, I could beat a dead horse on this or just summarize it and just saying that I do believe that Kyler Murray's a big question mark, but he's in a horrible situation. Arizona's been bad for him. Even though Brissett did well in Arizona, Kyler did not. And Kyler's in his own head, just like BTJ's in his own head in Jacksonville, needs a change of scenery. It's required for him to rebound. It's required for Kyler to get the hell out of Arizona, which he did, and get a chance to thrive somewhere else in a system where maybe the coach is more conducive to catering an offense around Kyler and figuring it out. I'm not saying he's a lock to rebound, but he certainly is a good bet to become somebody that people didn't expect to bounce back from a fantasy perspective. And while everybody wants to say he can't throw to, MHJ and gives McBride very little touchdown love, for years, and now all of a sudden McBride's scoring massive touchdowns with Brissett, there's still a world where Kyler was able to throw to DeAndre Hopkins, was able to make a player solid, was able to make McBride beast in yardage. So JJ could be taken care of 10 times better than he is right now. I'm not saying Mac Jones isn't the best solution, but if we can't have that, if Shanahan won't trade Mac Jones or Mac Jones is too expensive, then Kyler's not a bad option versus having nothing at all. So if everybody wants to complain about Kyler and this won't be good or can't we do better, it's Flacco or it's something along the lines of Kirk Cousins, and you might like that better than Kyler, but I don't. I'd rather take the chance on O'Connell revamping Kyler and Kyler maybe failing than to go with one of these other much more temporary solutions. So the markets say that is likely to happen. Alvin Kamara restructured his contract. That makes him a returner on the roster, obviously. And we'll see if they end up drafting Jeremiah Love. If they don't, Kamara's a decent value late in drafts, but no one should be counting on him. According to this report, resounding belief is that Kyler Murray wants to sign with the Minnesota Vikings. So this is kind of driving the Pauly markets and the betting lines on the situation. A.J. Brown, we'll talk about this. This will be the lead on the midnight show. Dino Rossini reports the Chargers are keeping tabs on the trade situation with A.J. Brown, but there's a resounding belief that A.J. Brown will be traded in the next 2 or 3 days. And that's coming from a few sources, and I believe them to be true. And I believe that you have teams racing to make some of these trades. And if you're Sirianni and the Philadelphia Eagles and you do want to trade A.J. Brown, there are a few spots that will overpay, one of them being New England. And if you start waiting around for BTJ buzz to come to fruition, then one of those potential partners gets pulled off the board. And it makes it harder to trade A.J. Brown because one of the biggest players to get A.J. Brown will also be one of the biggest players to get BTJ. So in a way, we're in a trade wars race to see which wide receiver can get the New England Patriot landing spot or the overpay that one of these one or two teams are clearly willing to overpay. And so that's why I believe when I said earlier that within 2 days, within 48 hours, I believe BTJ or A.J. Brown, one of the two, maybe both, but one of the two will be traded within the next 48 hours because of the trade war race between the two and competing for those spots to have these players land. So we'll have more information on that as we go throughout the night, maybe. And definitely going to be the lead story tonight at the midnight show will be AJB. Max Crosby, according to Diana Rossini, remains the Cowboys remain very interested in trying to acquire Max Crosby. And again, that could accompany a George Pickens swap. So that's going to get really, really interesting. This by Diana Rossini also, but this could be a little outdated because we don't know what's happened since the report, and this was hours ago. But she reported that no team has made an official trade offer for A.J. Brown. The asking price is enormously high, but it doesn't mean teams won't, assume that they're asking for the world. Vikings restructured Justin Jefferson's contract. This makes it very, very interesting as to is a Kyler Murray signing, is that in the works, in terms of the numbers and the bookkeeping. JJ restructuring puts the Vikings in a nice situation to do what they need to do. So sometimes these are telling signs when we see the breadcrumbs a little early. Rossini, Chargers among the teams keeping tabs on A.J. Brown. And then Philadelphia Eagles are holding firm on their steep asking price of A.J. Brown. While New England Patriots have poked around on it, the Los Angeles Chargers are another team to keep tabs on the situation per sources. So that was more on the Diana Rossini report. Let's see here. What else we got? We got Max Crosby, A.J. Brown. Devin Singletary restructured his contract with the Giants. That was another report. Geno Smith is completely robbed the organization. Geno Smith will end up pocketing over $58 million from the Raiders on his one season with the organization. His next team will likely be getting him for the veteran minimum of $1.3 million since he has already guaranteed money from Las Vegas. This is similar to the Russell Wilson situation where the Denver Broncos cut him and essentially they owed him, I think they paid him like $35 million to play for the Steelers in 2024. So that was crazy and wild. So in 2024, he was paid, I believe it's $35 million, something around $35 to $40 million. He was paid to play for another team. And the league minimum roughly is what he got in Pittsburgh. So he got $1 million salary from Pittsburgh. And while playing for a different team, the Broncos paid him $35 million. So we got like $36 million. It's such a wild scenario, the way these things play out. This right here, Patriots agreed today on to terms with QB Tommy DeVito. Tommy, on a 2-year deal, $7.4 million. Interesting backup QB situation. He's not a world star or anything, but. And then what was this? Okay, so this is a report here also along the lines of what I was saying earlier, that NFL insider Mike Garafolo believes that A.J. Brown will be traded by the Eagles in the next 2 days. So I believe that to be true because everything is lining up for that. I believe that. We have said that. Now Garafolo is saying that. So when I'm saying it, when Garafolo's saying it, when other reports are talking about all the smoke that's there, where there's smoke, there's fire, this is a situation that happens. And again, my rationale and reasoning behind it might be different than Garafolo's. What I'm saying is the BTJ entering the trade space, the trade market race wars, that is going to drive the Eagles to try and facilitate this trade as quickly as they can, because the team willing to give the most is going to be after both BTJ and AJB. And that's my rationale as to why one of these players will be moved within 48 hours. That report backs that up. And that is about all she wrote as far as the news goes. The biggest walking headline is this: BTJ is on the move. He's going to be traded, and super pumped and excited about that. We've got a couple of super chats, I think. Let me go over to Rumble real quickly and see what my Rumblers are saying over on the Rumble side of the fence. Appreciate all of you Rumblers. Where are my Rumblers? We've got in the building tonight, we've got Aldi, Landman the man. Mikey's in the building. FDX is in the building. Appreciate you all. Phone lines are open. Dial in.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Definitely interested to hear what Travis's take is on losing the center to the Chicago Bears in a trade. Because like I said, Garrett boy wasn't exactly playing real well walking into last season, and then he had a pretty good year. I don't think he was a problem, but maybe Travis, you're live. What do you think about this Chicago Bear trade?
The Patriots are doing it because they're going to swing Jared Wilson, who's a rookie last year. He played left guard. They drafted him to be a center, and he was pretty good at guard, but he's going to be their center next year. And Bradbury, I mean, he was good at the beginning of his career, and then he fell off a bit. And he was, I would say solid last year. I think Doug Marrone helped him.
He's with the Vikings before that, right? Yeah, and he was pretty bad. And he was as far as I remember the year prior. So this is like kind of shocking he did
the year prior.
Yeah, kind of shocking he did well last year with the Patriots. Hold on 1 second, let me merge this call. Mute yourself real quick, caller. I'll be right with you in 1 second. I think that might have been Landman, but mute real quickly. So my recollection is it was kind of concerning walking into this year, and he actually did okay. But yeah, this is a good move for the Patriots. You're feeling confident with his replacement, though, to the point where it's like you get value here. You can then go use that value. You can replace Bradbury pretty easily. Yeah, and then you got extra pieces.
Wilson's better. Wilson will be better than Bradbury was, I think. I mean, Wilson was really good at left guard for points in this year, and he's more of a center. He's like they drafted him to be the center of the future last year.
But then what's going on with guard?
They're gonna bring in another guard or tackle. I don't think they'll move Will Campbell, so I think they're gonna.
Why can't they move Campbell? He's awful where he is.
Don't ask me.
It's unbelievable. Real quickly,
don't ask me.
Logie, thank you for the super chat. Logie, standing ovation for any super chat this offseason. Until we get to August 1, I'm going to try and stand for everyone. If I don't do that, remind me through August 1, just to give you the respect you deserve for dropping a super chat and helping this channel grow. It's going to be Seattle getting BTJ. It wouldn't shock me because Seattle has the most, there's some of the most money in cap space. Surprisingly, Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks, and losing, it's certainly in the cards, for them to bring in a wide receiver like that, and people saying like, oh my God, why wouldn't they do that? But again, this is the race the race to who's going to take one of these two, BTJ or AJ Brown. It's going to drive, I think, the competition in the market to make it happen within 48 hours. That's my guess. Thank you, Logie, for the super chat. Appreciate you. Go ahead, Travis, and I'll go over to Landman for a second.
Yeah, so just on the BTJ thing, obviously as a Patriots fan, I want him, and I think he should be their first priority, and then AJB if they can't get that done. But part of me worries they're either going to get AJB or they have this infatuation with Alec Pierce, because that's all I'm hearing from local writers. And
I like Alec Pierce.
We'll see what happens. I like him too, but give me BTJ or AJB over him.
I like it.
And the problem with Alec Pierce is you're going to pay him $25 to $28 million. It sounds like, which makes it impossible for you to bring in a wide receiver one unless you draft him. And I don't know they've never done that before, so I have to see it to believe.
And I'll say that I truly do believe that the pecking order of preference for these teams should be. I mean, it's a tough one because AJ Brown's better now, but long term BTJ could be, even could be just as good this year, but gives you more value, but also has a little bit more risk right now to kind of bomb. But I think that one of these two is the preferred choice in the pecking order, and then Alec Pierce. But I'm kind of intrigued by Alec Pierce, and I wonder how undervalued this guy is to the majority, because a lot of people are just expecting him not to be on the same level as these guys, because a lot of these metric, Morgans out there and Excel sheet Erics are like, it's unsustainable data. He can't continue to do this. He can't keep getting away with this. That he's breaking off all these long runs that are long catches that are unsustainable with nothing in between. Like you can't just average 87 yards a catch. And I understand what everybody's saying, but the way I look at it with Alec Pierce, and again, I'm not trying to say Alec Pierce is a higher priority for me if I'm trying to acquire a wide receiver, but maybe the gap isn't as far as people think is what I'm trying to say. Because every time we start saying, oh, this is unsustainable, at the same time, I've got to ask you, what happens when you give him the mediocre intermediate passes and you feed him properly? Maybe the fact that he catches everything deep and it's an unsustainable ratio of success, maybe that unsustainable ratio of success is a telling sign that he's on another level. And that if you get him the intermediate work as well in a very balanced type of workload and more targets, so what do you get? 44? What was it? 44? 47?
47 catches.
47 catches. Like how many targets was that? 60 or whatever he got. It's 44 receptions, but
84
with the numbers that
84.
Yeah, the numbers that he pulled in. What was his yards and receiving yards, receptions, and touchdowns? It was 44.
47 receiving yards. 47 receptions, 1,003 receiving yards, 6 touchdowns, 21.3 per catch.
Yeah, 21 average. So 21 average, 47, 1,003, and 6 TDs on this 47 receptions is what people scream is unsustainable. And what I'm saying is if you give this man 90 receptions and he proved he can do this with this, maybe you're getting a better player than you think, and it's not going to be told the way you're trying to spin the story is you can't do it. Like, what happens? We don't know. The answer is we don't. I'm not saying there isn't a chance that this is unsustainable when we see it all translate, but what I will tell you is that the guy's got a lot of confidence that I like when you talk to him, and I like the fact that he was blunt and honest when they said, you going back to Indy? And he's like, I believe I deserve the right to go explore the free agency and get wined and dined. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, what he said after that was that when he was being questioned about, you did all this in 44 receptions and, imagine if you get, 100 catches. He's like, then the data says I'll have a 2,000-yard season. And I'm not saying he's saying he will have 2,000 yards, and I'm not saying he will have 2,000 yards, but I love the way this guy is like, attacking the questions and saying, look, stop judging me for 44 receptions. That's not my fault. And that's why I want to go elsewhere. That's why Alec Pierce wants to go to another team, and he's making it abundantly clear because he's not happy getting 44 receptions when the product is producing him the product the way he's producing. So I'll just say that. So if you end up getting Alec Pierce, I'll be a little higher on him, I think, than most people. But I do agree. Give me BTJ and Brown all day long if I'm able to control the narrative here.
Yeah, and just quick, I'll let you get to the other callers. Like, I won't be angry if they get Alec Pierce. I just think now with these other options sitting on the table where you're able to go and get them, I would take the shot at those guys, especially Brian Thomas Jr., he's, like you said, he's on a rookie deal. So that frees up that much more money while Drake May is still on a rookie deal to surround him with even more players or add to the defense or add to the line.
I agree. It's a huge thing. The rookie contract is huge. And that's what makes that a more attractive offer when you're talking about trade.
You think it'll take a first?
Yeah. I do think it will, given the competitive nature of this situation right now. But I'm not saying it will for sure be that type of price tag, but certainly could be. And if it is, I mean, we'll have to see what happens. I just think A.J. Brown, you know, you would think A.J. Brown would cost less, but the Eagles are not acting like it's gonna. And I don't know if teams are just going to say, look, you guys are being ridiculous. And then, you know, BTJ ends up being the one that gets traded. I feel like BTJ is going to go.
The money.
I feel like both of them can go within 48 hours. The only problem is the team that takes one of them is the one most likely to make this 48-hour time frame happen. That's why I say one of them will be gone in 48 hours.
Didn't Clifton do? Is Clifton the guy who did this last night? The breaking news fake trades.
Breaking news: Minnesota Vikings finalized. Yeah, Clifton, I already told you you're going to go in timeout. I thought I'd give you another chance, but you're in timeout for 24 hours. So there you go. I mean, I warned him last night. And I didn't even do anything about it. Yeah. I thought, you know what? I hope Clifton kind of learned his lesson. So Clifton, you're in timeout for 24 hours. Do it again, you're gone. So let's see how important the show is to you. If it's not important to you, then do it again, and then I'll just have Travis. He remembers everything. He'll just knock you off the channel there. So enjoy the next 24 hours. So Landman, you're live. Let me go back to Travis after Landman. Landman, you're live. What can I do for you, pal? And now that I can talk.
Smitty, what's up? Doing?
You what?
I said, what's up? How
I'm
you
doing good, bro.
Hey, I'm just wondering, is Tyler Linderbaum not in the discussion here as the potential center? I mean, I know he's expensive, but you know they need to protect May.
Well,
you know, and
according to Travis, Travis, they already got their man,
Wilson's
and they love him.
Yeah.
So you're not wrong if they felt in need, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. When you start moving guards, I understand that, but I mean, I'm just
he was a center in college, so
yeah. You know, it could be. You know, I think you got problems with the tax position, the blind side. I think you got problems there. But anyway, yeah. I get.
I understand your concern.
But here's the receivers I see there, and it's going to be like, you know, who knows. But you got you got BTJ, you got AJ, and you've got Pierce, and you know, only 1 or 2 years, but I could see Mike Evans going there too.
Yeah,
I mean, it's going to be wild when this opens up. Those so they're going to get one of those 4 guys. That's
for sure.
You know,
for sure. I mean, I don't need any questioning at this point that this offseason is going to result in the New England Patriots getting a big name receiver. Because again, you look at Buffalo, there was a chance Buffalo wasn't going to bring in a big name receiver. There just was a chance because they've continued to fail to do it, you know. So there was an odds-on favorite, or you know, that they were going to do something, but we didn't know if they for sure would. New England feels, even though I feel like they're botching some things, and I'm not giving Vrabel as much of a pat on the back as everybody else because of the things I feel like he's missing. But I think he's got so much talent assembled that it covers, you know, and kind of covers him, and he, you know, I feel like he rode the coattails of his own creation. That's what makes it such almost a moronic statement. I understand that, but he wrote the coattails of his own creation in Drake May. And but the fact that he didn't understand that Henderson could have been his best receiver on his entire squad if he had used him properly just makes me so upset, you know, and I can't contain myself. But the one thing I do feel is that this team made it all the way and they fell short. And the reason they fell short is because Drake May couldn't do it all on his own. And I do believe that is something that the Patriots will, in fact, remedy. I do not think they're going to be like the Buffalo Bills that just keep trying to stretch it out, you know, scrape by and keep putting it on Josh Allen's back. And also, they've had a big name wide receiver in Diggs. You know, it's not like they haven't had somebody. New England, they're going to go this route. They're 100% going to go this route. And I think, I don't know which one, whether it's AJB or BTJ. I truly don't know which one it's going to be. I close my eyes and I picture the situation. And it is one of BTJ or AJ Brown, though, if I had to guess. Not saying Alec Pierce wouldn't be in the mix as well, but that's almost a fallback if they don't get the guy they want. Now, the price tag for AJB is the reason why when I close my eyes, I can't picture it, or the reason why I won't with some 100% confidence throw out my prediction, because it really comes down to, is Sirianni going to be so ridiculous that he requires the asking price he's asking for? I don't know. That's why BTJ is now in the mix. And the competitive nature of both teams trying to get rid of the receiver, the Jaguars and the Eagles, could make either one of them fold to a lower amount just to get it done. And so we just have no control over that. But I'm very, very excited to see it all play out. Like you said, this is just, there's so much excitement here. This free agency, I couldn't be more excited. This is going to be such a good time watching this stuff unfold. It's going to be such a good offseason. Go ahead, Landman, then I'll go back to Travis.
Yeah. They I still think they need to get that line to protect that to protect May. And look, Travis knows what's going on. That's his team, and he also does his research. He brings his receipts. So I see the guard. That's what he played in college. So maybe that's a pretty good fit there, but. I think that blind side is what needs to be fixed, and it may be they bring in a tackle, to protect that side.
They will. They're going to bring in a tackle or a guard on the left side, because there's a hole now at left guard, because that's who played left guard all of last year was Jared Wilson, and they're for sure moving him to center. So they're bringing someone in on the left side either way. And they need help on the right side, too, because Morgan Moses is 35 or 36 years old. So they have a lot to do still. Like, I'm in no delusion that the Patriots could be in trouble if they don't make certain moves.
No, I think that interior line and the blind side is what they really need to work on if they're going to be moving everything. But anyway, listen, they did well enough last year to get to the Super Bowl and everything like that. So it's we'll see. The only other thing I was going to say too is Diggs have any value at all on the free agency? I
would
like the guy.
I'll say he'll find a home, but I mean, he's a 1,000-yard receiver from last year. He'll find a home, but I do think it's going to be one of these like lesser spots.
Raiders wouldn't be a bad spot.
Yeah, I could see that. It's going to be one of these lesser spots that isn't like a contender, I think. I don't think he's going to a contender. Could he go to Philly or something maybe if A.J. Brown's gone and he's still around? Maybe. Could he go to Atlanta and fill that Mooney role? Sure. Could he go to Pittsburgh? Never know. They need another receiver. So I just don't think he's going to go to one of these like Buffalo Bill, Kansas City Chief. Baltimore's, I guess, a team he could land on as a contender. I don't think he's going. I don't think he's going to Philly because I don't think it's going to line up in time with free agency and all that, and then AJ Brown. Unless AJ Brown gets traded in the next two days, then I guess it would. San Francisco, who knows? Green Bay, you never know. So he's going to land somewhere. He's going to absolutely land somewhere, but Broncos. I don't think he'll.
He almost went to the Broncos.
Yeah, Broncos, Titans. But I just don't. Colts maybe. I don't see it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be something where we're like, oh my God, the move of the. He's going to be the guy. He's going to get Super Bowl. I just don't see it. I don't see it. I think Diggs.
Hey, Smitty.
Yeah.
Smitty, I got one last thing, and then I'll let you go and everything like that. If you had to look at your crystal ball, tell me the biggest move that a team makes in free agency.
BTJ or AJB. Those two moves will be the biggest. I think the biggest for fantasy is BTJ. Just because what it does for Parker Washington, what it does for Travis Hunter, what it does for the quarterback that receives BTJ, what it does for BTJ. AJB leaving kind of can hurts a little bit. It's going to obviously help the quarterback that he goes to play for, and it's going to help him. But the impact of BTJ is probably the biggest in AJ Brown. Those two are and I do think both get moved. I just think one's going to get moved very quickly. The other one's going to take a little bit more time. Maybe not. Depends on if there's two exact trading partners that want to get this done. But there's certainly a world where one of them gets moved, and then the other one's trying to find, okay, there's one last suitor that's going to pay the price. But we'll see. I think both of them get moved. I don't think either team wants either one on the roster. And the commonality between the Jaguars, the Eagles, and really the Patriots is that all of them are contenders that are missing something. And they believe that the excess at the wide receiver position, well, New England's on the other side. They're trying to get this player. But in the case of the Jaguars and the Eagles, they're not using this talent. And they feel like they need something to push the other parts of their roster over to become, a Super Bowl winning contender, but also a Super Bowl winner and champion. They need to use this excess piece that they're not able to get the most out of anymore, while they still can, to get the parts that they need in order to fill the holes that are causing them to fall short. So that's why I believe that Thomas and AJB are almost locks to be traded. And even if the market dwindled down, I still think they trade them. I just think the competitive nature right now of trying to get rid of the first one's going to help maybe get AJ Brown traded at a high cost. But if BTJ goes to New England, what other teams are going to overpay for AJ Brown other than New England? Maybe a couple, but I think truly New England is the one that will overpay, because they're the ones that made it to a Super Bowl and fell short because of they didn't have one of these two guys. That's the way they're looking at it.
Yeah, AJ Brown, the most important coaching staff individual will be the sports psychologist that they hire, because he's a head case, man. But here's my question: if they do shop him and he moves, who do they bring in?
AJ Brown. If the Eagles shop him and move him, well, that's where Diggs could come in potentially. That's why I say Diggs. That's one of the spots, I guess, that is a contender that the Diggs could go to. But I mean, you got Ayuk, you got Tyreek Hill, you have Deebo Samuel.
I think Mike
Jennings.
Evans would be a
Mike Evans
possession guy there.
Sure. But that trade needs to happen before the league year begins, because you need to have that.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. Listen, I'll let you go and everything like that. Travis, have a good weekend, everything like that. Still the good man.
All right. Anybody else want to dial in? Otherwise, we're gonna probably jump out of here. Be back at midnight Eastern. But what a show! This is a lot of compact, short show, but just tons of fantasy football conversation that just tickles your fancy type of thing. Travis, what else you got real quick?
Yeah, a couple of things. One, you kept hearing the Ravens with AJB. Now you're here with BTJ, so there's a decent chance one ends up on the Patriots and one ends up on the Ravens. I'm not saying another team doesn't step up, but it seems like both of those teams are going to be in on both of those players.
Yeah.
And I think for the Jaguars, it sounds strange, but I think the best thing for their offense is to trade BTJ.
Oh, of course.
He never looked like he fit with that scheme. It's such a crowded room. The NFL game, I think things just run better in that system.
I mean, he is never.
They have so many other weapons.
He has never done well with Trevor Lawrence, and since he's never done well with Trevor Lawrence, and since they then also brought in Jacoby Myers, and since then Parker Washington became the team's number one wide receiver, and Travis Hunter is still there, and he's a rookie. He's a rookie last year. You're not getting rid of him. It just makes the most sense. It was never his guy. BTJ was never his guy. So, he's just useless right now. Like I said, it's almost like you have a vehicle that you drove off the lot. You can still get a lot for it. If you wait another year, the vehicle is going to go down like double and less in value, and you'll be screwed out of ever trying to sell it. So it's better to just get rid of it now while your return on investment is highest and you're accepting. This is why I think a Dunze, really Dunze or DJ Moore, one was going to go. But the reason why a Dunze was very tempted, they were very tempted to get rid of potentially a Dunze, is because they didn't necessarily, it wasn't their guy. And if they didn't get the production out of him, this coming season, and that's why they got rid of DJ Moore, then they weren't going to get anything in a trade. So that's, one of them was going to move. DJ Moore was probably the smartest one to move for them financially, but because they got a Dunze, for a while now, and they believe in a Dunze apparently, but we weren't sure if they did or not, but this move definitely by the Chicago Bears to get rid of DJ Moore proves that they do love a Dunze. But Odunze was a guy you had to either crap or get off the pot. Because if you didn't want to use him, this is what I said all offseason. If they didn't want to use him as potentially, I'm not saying that Burton's not the number one wide receiver there, but if they didn't want to use Odunze as a potential elite pass catcher, they had to trade him or trade DJ Moore to put him in a position to earn the value. Otherwise, you're just wasting him away. He's a number 9 overall pick. Without putting him in the lineup or on another team, you're just not doing the right thing. And so they traded DJ Moore, and they're stepping up. Man, Duvall just can't handle the BTJs. He says, tell me what team is giving up a first-round pick for Brian Thomas Jr., because that's 100% asking price. Brian Thomas Jr. not going anywhere from BT7 Duvall. Bro, you're going to have to change your avatar. You know that, right? You really do know. Do you realize that?
And think of this. If BTJ was in this year's draft, he'd go in the first round. You know, I know teams don't always think of it that way, but like, you know, the Patriots would probably give up the 31st pick.
They're easily giving up a first rounder for BTJ.
He's got what? Does the 5th-year option go with the player if he gets traded? So would he have 3 years left? Yeah. I mean, he's so cheap in terms of salary. That's why, you know.
All right, let me go around the phone line real quickly. On the phone line, we have Michael from San Diego. Go.
Yeah, real quick. All the talk about the A.J. Brown trade. Where do you think Devonta Smith's value is, just peak value, if he is moved? Like top what receiver in fantasy?
I don't know if I think it moves up a little bit. They want him to have a big year. That even come out and said they expect a huge leap for him, but we've heard that before too. We've heard that before about a lot of other players, and we've heard it specifically about him. I think he probably is no different than DJ Moore. And you could easily...
Really? You don't think he's capable? I mean, I feel like he has a little bit more...
What did I say? It was confusing, Michael. DJ Moore is about a top 15 top 15 wide receiver. Like, you expecting me to say Devontae Smith's number 7? Like, I don't think I'm disrespecting him.
No, but maybe like 12. No, you're not.
I mean, DJ Moore's going to be...
I didn't think you had DJ
Moore's going to be about 15 to 18, right? I mean, something like that, 14, 15, 16.
No, I agree with that. I guess I didn't hear you say that about DJ Moore.
I was like, I felt like I was pretty respectful.
Yeah, that makes sense. No, yeah, that's fair. I thought you were saying something else about.
I mean, like Devontae Smith.
I think he has a lot of.
He's still playing with Jalen Hurts, who's been. I know his offensive coordinator was a big crutch in why I can make this statement, but you're talking about a quarterback that sometimes threw for 99 yards in a game, bro. So, I'm not saying that won't get fixed, but we certainly don't know it's guaranteed to be fixed. But
I just feel like he has more easier path to more consistency with no AJ.
For sure,
that's been his issue. It's hard for him to be consistent when you got a top 5 guy.
Where was he ranked? Travis, do you have the information in front of you? Do you know where Devontae Smith was ranked last year out of all wide receivers? Let's just give a little bit of a reality check there, and let's see, like, do we think he goes from that to 12? Like, I don't think there's too many big name receivers that I'd rather have. But
20, I think, is what I mean in the Marsman scoring, I believe.
So wide receiver
20th.
I mean, that's 20 in a Kevin Patullo offense with AJ Brown. So
yeah, but
with AJ Brown taking coverage away.
Yeah,
too.
I mean, it's hard to say. I just don't know if Jalen Hurts is going to become a better passer, if they're just going to run Saquon Barkley more. I think Barkley's the bigger value this year than people realize, and that was a guy we said stay clear of last year. But the cost of entry is different. It's a different game of where do you enter the Saquon Barkley space. He's a cheaper player, so Saquon Barkley, they're going to run a lot. We'll see what they do. They're certainly not going to. This is the greater point here. You say if A.J. Brown goes, does Devontae Smith go to the moon? My answer is they bring in somebody else. And I'm not saying it'll be A.J. Brown, but it's certainly somebody that's going to, I think, dampen the mood a little bit from what you're going to feel the moment A.J. Brown's gone. And you're like, it's just Devontae Smith. He's starting in 2 different wide receiver spots on the team. you're going to be on cloud 9, but then they bring in even Jennings or they bring in somebody and they're going to take some of that back, right? So how much can Devontae?
They don't take as much though. I think that's fine. You want them to
right,
take someone else in, so
but you still don't know if things will get better. They should get better. Patullo sucked, but they should get better, but they might not. I mean, we've seen a handful of bad OCs since Steichen. Shane Steichen's when everything really went amazing. They lose Shane Steichen to Indianapolis. He becomes the head coach where he's at right now. Then they fill their OC role very poorly. They struggle. They fire. They bring in. Now they're struggling again. They fire. Now they bring in a new OC, and so you've had this roller coaster ride. And while the pattern's been pretty good, that when you have a bad one, you fire, you bring someone else in, it ends up working. We'll see how it all plays out. There's no guarantee that you lose A.J. Brown and your passing attack gets better. It might get the worse or stay the same and they just run the hell out of the ball. But I don't know that I'm not running away from Jalen Hurts necessarily, but I got to run, Michael. I got to roll through the phone line, but I appreciate your call. I'll be back at midnight. Bruce, you're loose for just a couple minutes here, and then I got to roll.
Thanks. All right. Hey, Smitty, with Ryan Kelly retiring from the Vikings today, how much of an impact do you think that would have on like a Tyler saying, I don't think so, your line's getting a little shaky now?
Say what you're trying to say again.
Ryan Kelly retired to center for the Vikings.
Yeah, what were you asking?
How much do you think? How much of an impact, like an offensive lineman like him retiring, have on someone like a Kyler saying, I don't want to go here?
Very little. Very little.
Lines.
I don't think Kyler's monitoring the offensive line moves as much as you think. I think he's worried about playing video games. But at the same time, like if maybe you were going to a situation where they weren't going to repair that or fix it, like they're an incompetent staff, it'd be one thing, but I don't think he's worried about them trying to figure out.
He only played 8 games.
Yeah, I don't think Kyler's not even crossing Kyler's mind. He wants to play for the Vikings, it sounds like. The poly markets say it's 60% likely. So go with the betting odds. I think Kyler will be pretty decent in Minnesota. It's a better gamble than people think. It's better than just rolling with J9. I mean, at least you got 2 options instead of 1. Everybody keeps saying, well, no, they need better. Well, then Kyler's going to sign elsewhere. You're going to try and get Mac Jones. You're not going to get Mac Jones. And then what? Like, go get Kyler now. Kyler is one of the better options. If you could lock it in now, you might as well do it. If Mac Jones looks unmovable right now, like I'd get on the phone with San Francisco and I'd say, hey, we're about to sign Kyler. Do you want to keep playing this game? Or do you want to send us over Mac Jones at a reasonable price? Because we're going to make the Kyler move, then Mac Jones is staying. Now, Shanahan loves Mac. So he might just be like, you're not going to bully us. Fine, we'll keep him. And that's true. That's probably the way it's going to happen. But if let's say it's not all up to Shanahan and it's up to Jed York and everybody involved and not just Shanahan. John Lynch might make the decision and Shanahan's pissed off about it, but hard to say. I know John Lynch has definitely been taking the reins a little more the last year or two than letting Shanahan drive the car completely. So we'll have to see, man. But Kyler's not a bad option. Meatloaf from Daniel. Daniel, appreciate you dropping that, my guy. Oh, that's wrong.
I smell meatloaf.
What would you say, Bruce?
Because I love Kyler.
All right, Bruce, calling at midnight.
All
right, call back, though. We need you back at midnight. All right, later. BBQ with 2 super chats. Thank you. Appreciate you.
I smell meatloaf.
BBQ says BTJ needs to follow the yellow brick road to ask the wizard for a heart and courage. Yes, he does. And he says Pat's O-line was a huge liability all year and played poorly against Seahawks' elite front. They need to upgrade the offense and draft to protect Drake May and unlock Hendy. 100%. But let me just tell you something, BBQ, that I believe to be the case here. And I'm not saying they don't need to do what you just said. They 100% need to. But if this, I'm trying to use my words carefully. If this coaching staff that drives me nuts because it's so moronic. It's an oxymoron to be out here going, this staff failed when they made it to a Super Bowl. I understand. But the reality of it is that the Patriots could have won this. If you've got Henderson unlocked, and that doesn't mean you're not playing Stevenson. You're just throwing the ball to Hendy. You're getting them both out there on the field at the same time. You have no wide receivers but Diggs. And Diggs had a good year, respectfully. But this Hendy character could be your number one main character in this story. But you're not using him. And if you were to use Hendy, you would have better offensive line production immediately. Think back to when Hendy had 3 games where he got to prove himself when Stevenson was on the bench, injured and out. What did Hendy do? 50, well, it was 2 games, right? 3 50-plus touchdown runs. How was the offensive line doing then? 50-plus yard touchdowns. He had 3 in a 2-game span. And then they went back to Stevenson, where they had lesser offensive line production, despite Stevenson looking good here and there and understanding pass protection, doing this good, doing that. But using Hendy as a weapon stretches out the defense, which thus has less stacked boxes, which thus has less pressure, which thus has less turnovers and different things that started to unfold badly. That alone would give them better offensive line production in itself. Then you also do a better job. Moving Campbell would be a smart move, like Travis has said over and over. Drafting or free agency, addressing the offensive line, trying to also improve it. You bring in a wide receiver like AJB or BTJ stretching the field, that alone is going to fix a lot of offensive line production. So even if you said, I won't allow you, let's say ownership says you cannot touch the offensive line. Let's say they had to keep everything the same. We know that they're not because they just got rid of their center and they're going to, but let's just pretend in a fairy tale world, they had to keep every single bit of that offensive line right where it is. If you bring in a receiver and you use Henderson, your offensive line production goes up 50%. Just from those 2 moves alone because of what it does to the defensive coverage. Now you add in the fact that they will address the offensive line. The Patriots are going to have that problem solved. If they use Hendy, if they bring in a receiver. If they don't, guess what? Your boy's going to be pissed, and I'll be screaming and yelling on this show week in and week out. That's the bottom line. So you're not wrong, BBQ, but that's my take on it. Thank you for those super chats. Travis, final thoughts, then I got to go, and then we'll be back at midnight.
No, I think that's all. I'll see you.
All right, and yeah, thanks. Appreciate you. And guys, get on over to the fantasyfootballshow.com. Let me show you this new beauty. I just can't stop innovating on this thing. Stock market has dropped on the site. We used to do this a long time ago. I brought it back, but everything I'm bringing back is enhanced by 1,000 times. The stock market is on the homepage. You can go look at it and drool over it if you want, if you don't want to buy a membership yet, at thefantasyfootballshow.com. Stock market is there. This has all the players that have recently gone up or down in value. And then there will be articles attached to each movement to let you know why they're moving up and down. It's still in beta mode, essentially, so you can poke around. You'll see some of it's working really well. Other parts of it don't have the articles attached yet. But it is up on the site and functioning. Stock market is there. Drop a comment in the player news. So, like, for example, go to DJ Moore or Josh Allen. And when you go to their stock board, it'll have an article attached as to explaining the up or down movement. And there'll be comment section there. Comment, let me know how you love it. I'll be back at midnight Eastern. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you, BBQ, for the super chats. BBQ says, who would the ideal... This is another super chat. Another super chat. You know, a lot of people ask me to perform miracles on this channel. Smitty made some amazing... I don't know what that was. I hit the wrong button. I'm sorry. That was a Chase Brown video about the play. I didn't know why I didn't let that play out, but I didn't. Who would be the ideal landing spot for Pierce, Pats, Chargers, Chiefs? Not Chiefs until Rice is out of the picture with another suspension, which is kind of likely. Chargers, no thank you. I don't want him impeding on Ladd's breakout season. But I mean, from a football perspective, both teams could really use him, but I don't want that. Pats would be a phenomenal second choice, but I would say the Patriots, because you've got other receivers in the way. So Patriots would be the best spot out of those, but I don't want that. We want AJB or BTJ. Pierce would be my third option that I would choose. Guys, I'll see you at midnight Eastern. You know that your boys live Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, every single Monday through Friday. live whenever big news breaks. So 8 p.m., you can see it at the top here, 8 p.m. Eastern, midnight Eastern, and whenever news breaks. See you on the YouTube channel here in about, I don't know, roughly 2 hours or whatever. See you then. Appreciate my super chats. Appreciate all my phone callers. Logie, Dan, BBQ times 3. And then my Rumblers, appreciate you. We're at 5.73K Rumblers. Following over on the Rumble channel. When we get to 10K, the Rumble show begins. And if anybody drops that 500 WAD, we'll start early. And that 500 WAD in form of a Rumble wallet tip through the crypto process that they have. And if anybody drops the 200 on there, you're in the Wild Wild West draft, which drafts in late March. If you want to be in the live stream Wild Wild West draft of 12 people, that draft begins in late March when we draft live on the show. So if anybody wants to be a part of that, anybody does a 200 Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Tether Gold Rumble wallet tip, and you can use your own wallet, crypto wallet or whatever. You don't have to use theirs. It walks you through it. But anybody wants in that, drop it early. Appreciate you all. See you at midnight Eastern.